The TAM 2C is yet another addition to the already powerful German 9.3 lineup. Based on the Argentinian light tank, the 2C variant was an Israeli upgrade, adding second generation thermal imaging, a laser warning receiver, and a powerful new APFSDS round. Alright lads, today I'm going to be talking about the performance, weapons and playstyle of the TAM 2C. Starting as always with the basics, this tank is a rank 7 battle rating 9.3 light tank located in the German tech tree. Being a rank 7 tech tree vehicle, it will only be effective at researching other vehicles between the ranks of 6 and 7. To get this tank, you will first have to grind out 390,000 research points before purchasing the vehicle for a price of 1,020,000 silver lions. But wait, there's more. You will then need to add it to your lineup for the cost of an additional 290,000 silver lions. After the crew cost, you can then choose whether you want to purchase the expert and ace qualifications for the tank, costing 1,020,000 silver lions and 2,100 golden eagles respectively. Surprisingly, for a high battle rating vehicle, the TAM 2C has a fairly low repair cost of 8,172 silver lions. Going on to the rewards, the tank has a base RP modifier of 2.32, which gives you an RP modifier of 232% with a free-to-play account, and 464% with a premium account. With a base silver lion modifier of 1.5, you have a higher silver lion modifier than any of the top tier premium tanks. You can expect a silver lion modifier of 150% with a free-to-play account, and 225% with a premium account. So does this tank fill a niche within the 9.3 German lineup? You already have the Radkampfwagen, so do you even really need this tank? Well, stick around for the rest of the video to find out. Okay, so moving on to the engine and performance, you can see that the TAM 2C has an engine which produces 720 horsepower. Combined with a vehicle's weight of 30.5 tons, this engine gives the tank a power to weight ratio of 23.6 horsepower per ton. While not the best at battle rating 9.3, it certainly gives the tank great acceleration and mobility. And as we move to the transmission, we can see that acceleration is important, as you have a top speed of 75 km per hour, both in forwards and in reverse. Your high forward and reverse speed makes you very nippy on the battlefield, allowing you to poke out from behind cover, take a shot, and then retreat safely back into protection. Okay, so we're here in a test drive, and the first thing I want to point out is this tank does get the ability to neutral steer. And as you can see, the whole traverse is very fast. I mentioned that this tank has a great power to weight ratio, and as you can see, the acceleration this tank offers is very good, getting you from about 0 to 40 km per hour in a couple of seconds. While the tank has a top speed of around 75 km per hour on paved surfaces, on rough terrain it can only reach around 50 km per hour. Overall, the engine performance and mobility of the TAM 2C is very good. While the regular TAM at battle rating 8.7 has a similar level of mobility, the fact the TAM 2C has various upgrades and improvements and still retains the great mobility is what really sets this tank apart from the other battle rating 9.3 tanks. Okay, so we now move on to the Armour performance of this vehicle, and being a light tank, you can't really expect much. The first thing I want to note is that the TAM 2C has a crew of 4 men, with 1 located in the hull and 3 located in the turret. However, if you look at the tank's frontal profile, we can see that 2 members of the crew are located on the left of the tank, and 2 members of the crew are located on the right of the tank. However, looking at the side profile of the vehicle, the 3 members of the crew located in the turret are pretty cramped, and a single round going into this area will more than likely kill all 3 members, resulting in an instant death. The side profile of the tank also gives us a great view of our ammo racks. The 2 largest ones are located in the turret bustle and to the left of the loader. A round being fired into either one of your ammo racks will result in an ammo detonation and instant death. So even if a round penetrating your side doesn't instantly kill all 3 crew members, if it hits a part of your ammunition storage, you're still going to die in 1 shot. Okay, so moving on to the actual armour performance of this vehicle, and we'll be testing it using the DM63 round fired by the TAM 2C. We will be simulating rounds fired at a range of 100 meters. Starting as always with the lower frontal plate, you see that we only have around 40mm of armour protection. Moving to the upper frontal plate, and even though it is very well sloped, we still only have around 35 to 40mm of effective armour. Moving up to the turret, and it's the same situation again, only really having around 40mm of effective armour. The turret cheeks are angled at a greater degree, which does increase the armour protection up to around 70mm. But again, this still isn't going to stop anything being fired at you at battle rating 9.3. Moving to the side of the tank, you can see that the whole sides only produce around 17mm of armour protection, making you pretty vulnerable to all sorts of small caliber weapons, including 50 cal machine guns. Moving up to the turret side, and again we still have pretty poor protection, of only around 21 to 30mm of armour protection. As you'd expect, the rear of the vehicle is the weakest point of the tank, with the hull only providing around 40mm of effective armour, and the turret only providing around 20mm of armour. If you think the armour protection of this vehicle is weak, then you're right, it is. It's very weak. But it's a light tank, so what do you expect? But on top of this weak armour, the vehicle is also prone to being hull broken. Large caliber APFSDS and HEATFS rounds fired from 120mm guns or more stand a good chance of breaking your hull, instantly killing the tank. Overall, the weak armour protection of the TAM2C really does make this tank unsuitable for brawling. Instead, your great mobility should be used to get on the flanks of enemies and harass their sides, carefully relocating after each engagement to minimise the risk of return fire. Okay, so finally moving on to the armament of the tank, and we can see that the TAM2C is armed with a 105mm Modelo 1L cannon. This gun is fully stabilised in both the horizontal and vertical plane, but it has rather mediocre gun handling. It has a standard 18 degrees of gun elevation, but a subpar 7 degrees of gun depression. It can carry 50 rounds in total, with 29 of those rounds being classed as first stage ammunition. If we look at the weapon reloading scale under the tank loader section, we can see that as the tank is armed with the standard 105mm NATO gun, it gets the same great reload. When fully stock, you will reload every 7.7 seconds, and when aced, that drops down to 6.7 seconds. We'll next move to the targeting skill under the gunner section, and you can see that we have a base horizontal turret rotation speed of 23.8 degrees per second, and with a fully aced crew, that rises to 34 degrees per second. While being pretty mediocre for NATO standards, compared to the other 9.3 German vehicles, this is very good, and is far better than the Radkampfwagen 90's turret rotation speed. We'll now move on to the modifications, and the first thing I want to note is that this tank gets a laser rangefinder and a laser warning system. This will alert you when enemy tanks are laser rangefinding you, as well as a helicopter is targeting you, using laser detonated weapons, such as Hellfires. On top of this new feature, the TAM2 also gets second generation thermal imaging. Moving to the ammunition, you can see that we have 4 options to choose from. Unfortunately, our stock round is the DM12 HEATFS shell. It has a good muzzle velocity of 1173 meters per second, and is capable of penetrating over 400mm of armour. Luckily for you, however, the TAM2C has 2 Tier 1 modification unlocks for ammunition, the first of which is the DM502 HES shell. It has a lower muzzle velocity of 732 meters per second, and has 127mm of explosive penetration. While the shell can be used for memeing people, I don't think you should unlock this ammunition type first. Obviously, your first ammunition unlock should be the DM33 APFSDS round. This has a high muzzle velocity of 1455 meters per second, and can penetrate 408mm of armour angled at 0 degrees. And finally, we move on to the real meat and potatoes of this tank, which is the DM63 APFSDS round. This has the same great muzzle velocity of 1455 meters per second, but has improved penetration, able to now penetrate 436mm of armour angled at 0 degrees. The TAM2C also has a rifle caliber coaxially mounted machine gun, as well as a pintle mounted rifle caliber machine gun used by the commander. Okay, so you join me now in a realistic battle test drive. And the first thing I want to point out is this tank gets a great field of view in the gunner's sight. This gives you great situational awareness in the battlefield. I also mentioned that you get second generation thermal imaging, and as you can see, along with the wide field of view, it makes scanning for targets incredibly easy. The TAM2C also gets a commander's independent thermal viewer, giving you second generation thermal imaging even in the commander's sight. One criticism I do have with the TAM2C is its very high powered optics. As you can see if we go into the gunner's sight, the default zoom is incredibly high. This makes aiming at close range quite hard. As you can see here, we're pretty close to this enemy Soviet tank. It is quite close range, but when playing a light tank where you're zipping around tight urban areas, engagement distances at this range is pretty common. And if we go into our gunner's sight, we can see that the zoom level is very high. Overall, the firepower of the TAM2C is very good. It combines a great fire rate of the standard NATO 105mm guns with a new powerful APFSDS round. While that alone is impressive, the addition of the second generation thermal optics, as well as the laser warning system, really does make the TAM2C a powerful and devastating little light tank. Now that we've got the overview out of the way, we'll now go on to some gameplay, followed by a conclusion. Okay, so welcome to Mosdoc. I'm going to try and get into this hill up here, try and get some shots into B and A, but we should have the mobility to get there, but we'll see what we can do. Not today, Mr. BMP. Not today. Got him. Oh, there's another one on B there. Can we spot in this tank? got his engine fork. We can spot him at least. Is it worth risking that though? Is he not putting that fire out? I think I'm just going to let him burn. And I got kill assist at least. Where is he? Does he see me? I don't know if I'm going to have the gun depression. Got him. Only 7 seconds. Come on, little Tam. Please. Right, we should be in the clear. Oh, what the hell is that? Oh well. M901 was it? Yeah, well, we didn't get a kill, but we got an assist. There's another T-72B there. We do have quite a small... Got him. Shot into his ammo carousel. One problem I am having is the TAM. The zoom of the camera is very, very high by default. Like I can't zoom out. Okay, so welcome to Japan. I'm gonna try and get on this little hill here. Well, we almost managed to snap a shot into the T-72B. Come on. There we go. And there are people up here as well. The default zoom of this tank is so high, it's hard to keep your spatial awareness. I can't really get a shot into the... Why is the TAM? Bye bye. So I think there are some people. Alright, that's a T80, I believe. T80 something. Hopefully we can get another shot into him here. Finally, T80B. T64A. Oh, hello. Bye bye. So I think there's a T55 AM somewhere as well. Oh, right there. Right under his gun barrel. And there's another. One reload. Got him as well. There's one more on the oh, this is dodgy as fuck. I might be able to get him. Got him. We need to evacuate. Now, is he speeing me there? Can't really tell. Got him. T-72A. May as well capture B while we're here. Is that Ace? I need to watch over here. So if we can just make it past. Don't shoot. Fucking. That's what annoys me. Oh, I'm dead. Yeah. Fucking helicopters. Well, we got the Sturm. It's not exactly a fantastic place to be here. What is that? It's a dead T-72. Just fine. Uh-oh. Oh my god, how is that only a track and field tank? How are they not killing? These 400 odd mils of pen. This bullshit. Okay, well at least he died. Oh, well. Can I run? I'm gonna die here anyway. It's going to be some stupidly powerful bomb, I imagine. Yeah. Of course it was me that died. Alright, so not the best game. We only got 3 kills, but I think I've shown you quite a few games. I think you get the point of how you play this tank. So without that being said, we're going to move on to a conclusion. To conclude, the TAM 2C is a nice addition to the game, both at its battle rating of 9.3 and even useful when taken into a battle rating 10.7 game. The high mobility and powerful APF SDS round allow you to be a pretty effective glass cannon. While the tank obviously has pretty low survivability as well as a hull break mechanic, I believe the high mobility does make up for this. It's also worth keeping in mind that this tank is designated as a light tank, meaning it is much cheaper to spawn into a game than a similar battle rating medium tank. So whether it's your first spawn or your backup after you die in your Leopard 2A5, you still have an incredibly cheap, effective and powerful light tank in your lineup. While the Radkampfwagen 90 can also be used in a similar playstyle and also occupies the same battlefield role, I believe the addition of the second generation thermal imaging does make the grind worth it, as it allows you to play the TAM as a light tank as well as a makeshift tank destroyer. While playing this tank, you will get frustrated if you try and play it like a main battle tank. The 2C gets hull broken even if the enemy throws a rock at it, so stay out of direct engagements with enemies. Use your speed and place yourself on the flank of an enemy, and don't forget, relocate after every shot. You cannot trade with this vehicle. The TAM 2C has become one of my favourite vehicles in the 9.3 German lineup, alongside the M48 Super, KPZ-70 and the outstanding Radkampfwagen 90. As always lads, I hope you found this video helpful and thank you very much for watching.